Welcome back to Canada Now with Jeff Sammett. Canada Talks, Sirius XM 167.
He's an award-winning filmmaker whose newest documentary feature film, entirely filmed and produced in Canada, by the way, is called Alone Across the Arctic. Francis Luta joins us on Canada Now. Francis, congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Hi.
Good afternoon, and good to have you. And your doc follows a two-time in-studio guest of ours, modern-day explorer Adam Schultz, and this film is a companion piece to Adam's national best-selling book, Beyond the Trees, A Journey Alone Across Canada's Arctic. And he did something no one had ever done before, a record-breaking solo expedition in crossing the Canadian Arctic from the Yukon to Nunavut on foot and by canoe in one season spanning 4 long months. I guess the big question off the top, Francis, is what was it like to capture all of this?
It was a unique way to make a film for sure, because it really is a true, honest indie, passion project film. Because once Adam steps foot into the Arctic, he really is alone, and we trained him how to use a camera and GoPros, and so it really is honest and a linear way of storytelling.
And you dropped in only 3 times to secure some shots and replenish some supplies.
Yeah, so me and my team dropped him off at the Arctic Circle sign at the Yukon Territory along Dempster Highway. He set off there. He began his trek, and then I went alone in Yellowknife and flew via bush plane about 3 hours north from Yellowknife to do a supply drop. And I gave Adam fresh memory cards, and I got his memory cards that was full of footage. And then again at the finish line at Baker Lake, Nunavut, which is, interestingly enough, I didn't know, is the geographical center of Canada.
Ah, so from a personal standpoint, though, in those very few times that you would see Adam, what was it like when you would just be face to face with him? In the middle of all this beauty that Canada provides, what was it like to be right next to him, to be with him and to be face to face with him?
First of all, it was really surreal to even get an invite from Adam to do this feature for him. So I said yes, blindly without even really thinking the magnitude of the project. But I said yes, as an up and coming filmmaker, you say yes to everything. But once we were actually in the Arctic, my approach was really not to overpopulate him too much, because his task at hand, the priority for him was to, go from point A to B and, live through it to tell the tale. So it really was, now looking back, it was very quick. In pictures and in the film, it looks like it takes forever, but it was a very quick exchange, because I didn't want to, add noise, and I really wanted him to focus on surviving the journey.
I'd like to know what it was like when you went back, you get your first handful of memory cards from Adam, and you take a look at the footage for the first time. What was your reaction to it?
It's one of the most fun things, I would say, in terms of, the aspects of filmmaking. That's like the editing aspect, sitting down at my computer desk and looking at all the footage. It's kind of like I'm like this big kid looking at this great big puzzle piece. At the same time, it was a lot of pressure, because I needed to, please my creativity, my creative vision, but also Adam's vision and the producer's vision and everyone involved in my team. It was exhilarating and daunting, and I think I did a pretty good job cutting a piece that is a watchable thing for everybody.
Well, Francis, Adam had to get the time of his departure just right because of the breakup of the spring ice. What were time demands like for you in directing this film?
Time demands? Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, okay, so you get the memory cards. Let's say for the first time you get the memory cards. What do you have to accomplish between the first time you meet Adam in retrieving memory cards to the second time, and then after that? Obviously, I mean, him being in the middle of the Arctic, his time demands, given his journey, would have been more demanding, for lack of a better term. But for you, in going from point A to point B to point C and so on and so forth in making this film, were there demands on you as far as time?
In terms of time demand for the film, at the time there were no demands, so we were freely making a film. It really does fall under, the passion project category, because when we were pitching it in the early stages, no network was interested in the project. So the time demand was really self-imposed between me and my producers involved in the film, because we didn't, for passion projects, it's so easy to shelve a project and not look back and just forget about it. But with us, we really wanted to, see this come to fruition and share it with everybody, share Adam's journey for everybody.
Well, Francis, Adams certainly possesses wilderness survival skills, but was there ever a time where you felt the need to help more than you did?
Needing my help, you mean?
Yeah, like you just okay, this guy needs help. Like we got to bring him this, or we got to bring him that. And you talk about, hey, you got to stay away, you got to let him do his thing. But just from a human standpoint, was there ever a time where you were like, boy, he needs so much more help. I don't know how he's going to be able to do this. You know
what? Like, so much respect goes out to Adam on my end, because he was planning this expedition 3 years prior before he approached me. So it really takes a unique, strong individual to tackle this feat, in which he did. So in terms of help, it really was the thing that I can think of is help with the filmmaking aspect, because he keeps telling me, oh, he's not an actor, he's not a filmmaker. So in terms of help, that's where I came in. In terms of the expedition, it's Adam solely on his own.
Yeah, I get that. Well, you got to see the beautiful, undisturbed land of the Arctic. Now there are plans for a massive mine and a highway being built. How does it feel to have gotten to see such beauty before it'll change forever?
Yeah, I feel really privileged to see it, because I never really thought I would get to see, northern Canada. It's our country, and, it feels like it's really close, but I never really would have thought. That's why I jumped on the opportunity. And I'm not saying, like I said in one of the articles that I answered, it's not a hyper environmentally political film, but it does certainly make you think. It makes me think how the Arctic is going to change by the time people get to see it from the time we made it in 2017. So there is a sad aspect to it, and certainly relatable in a sense that we, Adam says it in the film, we do things when we feel like we're at our prime, and, see the world beyond your backyard, especially in this time of, lockdown and isolation. I think our release is very timely in that regards, and it's certainly reflective as well.
I know it's from a different standpoint, but I'll ask you this, because I had asked Adam what experiences were his rewards for all the effort he put in, and he talked about the purity of the Arctic water that let him see through the bottom of lakes, wolves keeping him company throughout his route, the astonishing diversity of the Arctic ecosystems. Now, he lived it, and I know you look through things in a different lens. Excuse the pun, given that we're talking about a film here, but were there any experiences in being in the Arctic or in going through and making this film that you most walk away with, that you most hold dear?
Well, first of all, I was really surprised that the Arctic was so green and warm. And in leg 2 of the journey, I was wearing shorts in the Coppermine River and in the supply drop of the journey. What I take away most, I would say, yes, there's a grandeur and epic landscapes of the Arctic that I feel so privileged in witnessing and seeing, and partnering up with Adam and making this film. But what I hold dear to me is the brotherhood that I've developed with my team of producers and cinematographers, because it really is tough for an up and coming filmmaker to gain that respect. And so I feel very lucky to be attached to such an epic project. So that's what I hold dear to me, and what I will carry through in my filmmaking career, right? Like that, keeping that collaborative nature intact, and, selecting projects that have something to say.
Well, you were born in Manila, you were raised in Toronto, you traveled to Europe, immersed yourself in Berlin's art scene. This is your first feature documentary. How had you utilized your life experiences in telling Adam's story?
It really, with all my different artistic and creative backgrounds, it really all came into play. From my graphic design background, creating the posters and publicity images, and the graphics in the film. Although the map I didn't create, that's by Jason King, our graphics designer. Everything all came into play, and at the end of the day, with film, arts, and design, it's all the same language. So I managed to maneuver into making this film by speaking that language and transitioning from arts and design into film. It came very easy to me,
Well, where can listeners find out more about you, Francis, and your film Alone Across the Arctic?
So it's super exciting. I'm actually shaking because I'm full of espresso, but it's finally being released on Apple TV as part of their Earth Day lineup, which comes out tomorrow. And also in Super Channel, which is part of the Canadian Film Festival, and that is May 22nd, and our theatrical release is August 10th. The order of release is kind of unique right now, given the pandemic that's happening. So the streaming release is happening, and then the festival, and a theatrical release. But you know what? I'm really thankful that everyone has adapted to the times that we're in right now.
Absolutely, and you've certainly given us a film to either look forward to or enjoy sooner rather than later. Award-winning filmmaker Francis Luta, congratulations once again on the film, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you.